Social enterprise is something that people, as you said, do not know much about and is not recognized. For me, Arc-en-Ciel is a beautiful image of what a social enterprise can do, having employed more than 500 people on a yearly basis. So what is a social enterprise? How can we explain to people that yes, you can do money and help others while not being called an NGO? So have your own profit, have your own salary, and yes, help others. So should we push in Lebanon on creating more social enterprises or more SMEs or small or medium enterprises?
I think I mean, we need both. We need definitely innovative SMEs that are leaders in their own field, in their own sector, and this is fundamental, and we need to support. Now, an SME where they could go for purely profit. We're here to create profit, provide, of course, a service to our customers, and grow and make our shareholders even more wealthier. Or they could say, we want to be sustainable in our profit, but we also want to have an impact. So a social enterprise is an organization that could be for profit or could be non-profit, but what they do is they need to make sure that they have two things. One is that they have the means to be financially sustainable, but two, their focus is really on addressing a social need. So what is the social impact that they are generating? And I've mentioned a number of these social impact, from empowering rural women to gender equality, water savings, energy savings, protection, reduction of pollution of the air, of the sea, of the water that we drink. So you have a number, the food that you're producing. So you have a number of dimensions of impact. So what is the impact that you're creating? And how can you sustain your model over time and not rely only on a single source of funds, but be able to secure your capacity to be able to deliver this social impact year after year after year. So a social enterprise combines these two, combines this business model and financial sustainability with a continuous attempt to create a social impact and to amplify the social impact that you're generating along these different dimensions that I've mentioned.
I would say, how about you give us a last note of how would you dream things to be in Lebanon, and what would you ask small entrepreneurs, and how would you boost their self-esteem in such hard times? What are your final notes, and what would you suggest for people who today are probably in a dark spot, not knowing if they start something new, leave, invest, open a company, create an agriculture thing, I don't know, whatever. So what would you say? How do you see the bubble we're in?
Look, there are different messages according. For the graduating students or the people looking for opportunities, I would strongly encourage them to look, if they have these creative ideas, to look at putting it together. There is no better time than now to be able to set up your company, and there is a whole ecosystem in helping you through accelerators, incubators, venture capital companies that are our impact funds that are being created by the day. So don't necessarily go and jump into a corporate job. Look at this possibility that you have, either yourself or maybe joining other startups or other scale-ups that are present in this market and doing very well. So this is the first message, is consider this. This is a serious option, and it will become more serious with time behind. To the entrepreneurs that went through the past, 5 or 10 years, I raise my hat. This has been the toughest by all means. In terms of the challenges, you could dream of whatever challenges you faced with. We had the whole concentration of it in our country, in Lebanon, over the past 5 to 10 years. So what I'm saying is that you have survived. You have a lot of learning from what you have been through. This is really the time for you to be able to concentrate on how do you go to the next level, because you've made it. And this is a wonderful achievement that you've done so far. And all what you have to do is reach out. Reach out to us, reach out to others that are keen to listen to what you have as a story, what are the challenges that you're facing, and how can we go work with you. So this is, and we're building this ecosystem. We're building it not only with universities, not only with investors, venture capital and others, and impact funds, not only with the donors, and I've mentioned a few of those donors that we have been working with, looking at the advisors, looking at also the potential partners that are interested in coming in. So this is the right time to go reach out, ask for help. There is no, and a lot of this help is done on a pro bono basis. So you have to, so this is the message I sent to you. For the diaspora outside, this is the time where we need you here. We need you here, if not physically, at least your time to be here to understand what's happening in this ecosystem and how you can find your place where you could add value, being it with a company, being it on, I've mentioned as an investor, as a board member, as an advisor, as a leader in one of these organizations. This is the right time, and your place is here, and we need you more than ever behind it. And for the government, is ensuring that this government is providing a supportive infrastructure. So one of the issues that we had in Lebanon, you could set up your company very quickly, but in order to be able to close your company, it's a nightmare. So there are a number of things that need to change from a legal point of view, from a tax point of view. We've mentioned the importance of social enterprise. So it's important that the government enables this ecosystem and allows it to flourish and allows it to develop behind it. So these will be some of the messages to the different stakeholders behind it. Most importantly, do it because this is, if I talk, and this is the blessing of what we've been doing, is being it Mark, being it Mario from Biomass, being it a number of Omar from Fabric Aid that we have, and we have hundreds of those innovative social entrepreneurs active in Lebanon, is we have wonderful stories. Take the time to listen to them. Take the time to be able to see where you could add your grain of salt in it, and we'll be more than happy to facilitate the process. So follow your heart, follow your passion, and we have plenty of opportunities for you to be able to live this passion in your country while at the same time linking back to your roots.
We'll finish it with a little bit of, I would say, a challenging message. The problem with the diaspora is that probably some of them have lost trust in Lebanon and lost their hope in Lebanon. How can we rebuild trust so people would invest more? They have tried before, didn't work. They have probably lost trust in the Lebanese persona itself that lives in Lebanon. And we both know why and how things happened along the years. How can we rebuild trust and prove to the world that we have changed, Lebanon has changed, now is the time, just give us a last opportunity, last chance.
There are different dimensions. The first one that we discussed is that today we have a new president, we have a new government, and these governments need to be accountable. So the roadmap is clear. It's a question now of executing on this roadmap. So the ability of the presidents, of the governments, and their teams to be able to execute on the roadmap is important. So once you do this, funds are going to come. And not necessarily only diaspora. They will come from the IMF, they will come from other sources, like funds have been coming in the past without even these reforms. So you have to own and you have to implement those reforms in order to make sure that you get your credibility. You go back to where you were as an organization, as a country. So the first one is this sense of accountability. The second one is that you need to show and demonstrate these success stories. And you asked me and I could name a number of companies, and these are companies that have been doing extremely well. So, but these companies need to be well known on it. So it's build on those success stories that you have. What is the DNA that this NGO or this social enterprise or this SME or this corporate, why they've been working, and how can we take this DNA and spread it across the country? So this is another dimension. What are those success stories? What makes them success stories? What is the DNA behind it, and how can we take this DNA and spread it across the ecosystem? So this is a second dimension that we have. The third dimension is that you have to take the dive. You know, when I took the dive, my kids were, I have a son that is working for JP Morgan in investments, and the other one is in biomedical. They said, Dad, these are not investments. These are donations that you're giving. So it doesn't matter. It's actually not. I'm looking forward to prove them wrong in saying in this. But it's important that you take the plunge, because once you do it, others would follow. So it's important. You could start with funding one or a second one or sitting on the board of a third one. But this dynamics, what happens, it breeds others to come. So don't be shy and to take this dive, to take the plunge, to take the risk associated with it, because others would follow, and the more they follow in this. So these are the different. Government have a role to play in this. The entrepreneur themselves have a role to play. They need to seek help and seek support that is available behind it. The ecosystem needs to have this level of stability, and at the same time, those diaspora members need to put, if you want, the funds behind the words, because this ultimately is the best way to be able to make it happen. So these are some of the messages that I will pass to the different stakeholders behind it. But from my own experience, this has been the most beautiful journey, is to be able to get exposed to this quality of entrepreneurs working on very different impactful missions, listen to them, work with them, hold their hands, and do it with a group of people who, like-minded people. For me, after being 40 years, more than 40 years in a corporate life, it's really the best blessing I could get, and I'm so thankful on a daily basis for this opportunity. And I wish that we are hundreds that do the same thing, because we will end up learning from each other, building these partnerships with each other and with the companies that we are supporting. Anthony, thank you for the time. Really appreciate the questions, and again, happy to answer whatever request for information, for introduction to those companies, or to investors, because we're also talking to investors and we're talking to companies behind it, and happy to continue to do this on an ongoing basis. Thank you.
Give me a bonus question.
Go ahead.
For the last years, decades probably, Lebanon was had the support of USAID, and USAID funded a lot of projects in Lebanon. And then overnight, USAID stopped that funding for Lebanon and the world. What do you think that action would affect Lebanon, and how can we quickly adapt and change and find alternatives?
Like all situations, you have the two edges. You have the crisis situation. The crisis is that you had several hundreds of millions of dollars being invested by USAID in Lebanon. So this potentially could go completely. So you have thousands of jobs which are at stake. So this is, and it's not only Lebanon, as you know, it's across emerging economies, and you might have millions of children, especially in Africa, that could, which their health and their livelihood could be affected by this. So it is a big shock for Lebanon on it, but at the same time, that we say this crisis in Chinese, you have the danger zone, but you also have the opportunity. And the opportunity, and this is what I was hinting before, is that it shows that those organizations that were relying primarily on grants or on those sponsors that you have were at big risk. So what it did is send the message is that you have to diversify your funding sources. You have to shape your own destiny. And this, for me, is a blessing in disguise, is that we have this pull out here is allowing us to really sit down and have those organizations that have been relying systematically on those donations and those grants are today, what can we do to shape our own destiny, to define what should be our future revenue stream, not only the existing revenue stream. And this is the process that we call the transformation journey behind it. So I am actually very sorry that it happened so suddenly, but at the same time, there is good news behind it, which allows us not only to depend on those grants, but also to shape our own future and our own destiny. So I look at it in a positive aspect, and I know that other institutions are going to come in. Once we do what we're supposed to do, once we implement those reforms and those milestones, I'm convinced that there's going to be a lot of international organizations, financial institutions, donors, investors that will come in because they look at this with all the benefits that when you ask me the question in terms of the talent pool, in terms of our geographical position, in terms of this multilingual capacity, in terms of this entrepreneurial spirit that is in our DNA forever. So this will encourage the funds to come in an accelerated way.
Thank you.
I appreciate very much and really look forward to seeing how we can even collaborate in the future, because there is a lot to be done on this, and whatever help or recommendations you have, be happy to discuss it with you.